Hello, everyone. My name's James. Thank you for joining me right now, wherever you're at. So wherever you are in the world and whenever it is, I appreciate you taking the time to join me today. I wanted to introduce a significant effort I've been planning for a while, and I'm calling it the 40-day mission. We'll get more in depth into it in the following kind of presentation, really just talking points. I know people aren't really a fan of business-like presentations, so I went through a really difficult crossroads recently within the last year, September 2025. And when I say I hit a spiritual and medical, physical, emotional low point, it's no exaggeration when I say that and when I use those words. And it took me a bit to understand kind of why my body and my soul was going through that. But what emerged from that, it's a renewed sense of purpose. And we're going to talk about it a little bit in greater detail. But how do you think your sense of purpose is? And what does that mean, sense of purpose? Whatever gets you out of the bed in the morning and makes you motivated and excited to get up and start your day. And, it's goals, micro goals, major goals, lifetime goals. I was missing that after my retirement from the military. And I hit a low point, and I really thought I was going to die. I was preparing. I felt like my body was dying. Again, no exaggeration, I'm saying that, but I would consider myself at that point in time the most committed atheist, non-believer in a higher being, a creator, a divine creator. And then I had an experience there, and I kind of laid all that out in that first live stream called From Doubt to Faith. But it being my first one, the audio was messed up. Yeah, I got a lot of views on there, but it wasn't good quality, so I need to redo that. And maybe some point in this 40-day journey together, I'm gonna take time to lay out the spiritual road that I went on and the spiritual experience I had, because it was very, very intense. But one of the things that came out, and that experience happened to me September 2025, kind of towards the end of the month. And man, when I say it was intense, it was extremely intense experience. But one of the things that came to me is, this phrase, do more than words, more than words. And I know right now that's I'm a talking face on your electronic device, but you'll see, right? Through my actions, I will demonstrate that we will do more than just talk about issues. We're going to talk about human values update. So this community, right? September is when I had no knowledge of YouTube or anything like that. But during that moment of spiritual and physical crisis and medical crisis, I started, I was inspired. I'm going to use words very carefully, but I was inspired during that time. Like, James, you have a message, you have a voice, you have experience, you have knowledge, you have an education. Use all of those and share what's in your mind and what's in your heart, what's in your soul with whoever clicks on it, right? We have such incredible technology right now in this day, and it's unbelievable, the technology we use. And right, I'm not going to judge people, but there's a lot of influencers and they use it to earn a living. And it's kudos on them. It's great if you can do that. Do something that you enjoy and share your experiences with the world. But that's not what this is about for the human values journey that I'm leading. The way I see it, it's I have an important message to get out. I have an important purpose with this 40-day mission, and it's to get that message out. Same thing, negative leadership. I just took a screenshot of a previous YouTube video that we talked about this more in depth, so that's why I'm going through it fast. But look at these negative leadership qualities, guys. How does it make you feel when you see a leader on media or in the public and they demonstrate these negative leadership qualities, right? Accountability, guys. Are we holding our leaders accountable? Whatever nation you're in. And that's what I said. Yeah, I started researching, like, it's an amazing campus, guys. I really don't know how, right? You could say it's a miracle, or that I got accepted into this leadership institution, the United States Military Academy at West Point. And it was a phenomenal experience and had some terrific friends. So I happened to be in New York whenever, right, this long process of like calling this admissions officer and, hey, do you have any update? And, I was denied multiple times, guys, rejected multiple times, just not having the slots, not having availability. And then I got medically disqualified, and it was a hard fight for me to get in, but I kept pushing. And I was in New York, and this admissions officer told me, hey, great news, you got accepted. And yeah, it was a great feeling. And I said, hey, I'm in New York. You mind if I swing by and, we can meet? We've talked so many times on the phone. And so I did. We drove there and I met him. It was a captain, an admissions officer. It was a captain in rank. And he introduced me to the chief of admissions, a full bird Colonel 06. And, very high ranking. And that Colonel Smith told me, James, good to meet you. I want to let you know you are the very last person to be admitted into your West Point class. And I don't think we're good. And I think if you're here with me right now watching this video, and I am talking about right now, humanity across the globe, 8.3 billion humans is the latest estimate. There are some people still living in extreme poverty. And I'm going to open this book. I'm reading this book right now called Factfulness. That's kind of what he's talking about. I think he wrote it in 2017, right? So it's been a hot minute. But at the time that he wrote it, he was talking about, hey, there's this overwhelming sense of gloom and doom. And people are saying, right, looking at extreme poverty and people suffering. But he spends, I'm not completely through with this book, but the main point is based on certain metrics like infant mortality, and then he breaks up, when you're talking about poverty, he breaks it up into different levels where level 1, you are struggling. It's a fight for existence every single day. And he's saying people in that level 1 has decreased significantly since the first time people started measuring that, probably back in the late 1800s. Talking about humanity, but for people with children, and every time I see children walking around, anytime I'm around, I look at them, especially the younger they are, the more empathetic I am. When you're my age, first of all, are you going to be able to make your generation, right? If you see a 2, 3-year-old, 1-year-old, a newborn, your generation, are you even going to be able to make it to 46-year-old, to 40s, 50s, 60s, right? Life expectancy now is in the upper 70s, I believe, mid to upper 70s. Are you going to make it to that? It's not a foregone conclusion, guys, and that's why I'm dedicating 40 days out of my life to do a deep dive into these topics. And I have a lot of assumptions and presumptions, and based on information and media I've consumed over my lifetime. Had a chance to serve in Korea too. I really love the Korean people, and maybe during this 40-day journey or in the future, take a look a little bit more about the Korean peoples. I think that's one of the greatest tragedies in history, maybe, right? I don't think that's an exaggeration where an entire peoples were split at the line of demarcation, the 38th parallel. And right, no matter what nation you're on, imagine if your nation was split in half by outsiders, right? By the powerful leaders among the international community, right? There's reasons for it, guys, and I'm not going to go too in depth for it, but I'm in my heart, and I am half Korean. My mother's from Korea. In my heart, that's a great tragedy that the Korean peoples are still divided. And I don't know, guys, is it ever possible there's going to be a reunification? I hope there is in my lifetime. I think there could be. This was one of the best leaders I ever served with. He's a Kurdish leader in Kurdistan. It's a tragedy. The British was responsible for this large geographical region, the Middle East, and they drew lines in the sand, and they said these are national borders. And sometimes those lines in the sand bisected cultural groups. And the Kurdish people, unfortunately, was one of the biggest cultural groups that are currently without a nation, and I hope we could resolve that. I don't know what the answer is, guys. You can't carve out a different country and say, hey, we're taking some of your country together. Great, it's difficult. In an ideal world, these other countries would acknowledge. I would not want to be part of an ethnic group, the Kurdish people, that are wonderful people. This guy, again, was one of the best leaders I ever served with, and I hope someday I can share some of the leadership lessons that he taught me as a young captain, a young Nakib. But the Kurdish people, I wish someday you have your own sovereign, protected, your own sovereign nation, the nation of Kurdistan. It's a great picture of when I was serving with the Philippine Army, and it was during COVID time, right? So you can see our mask, but what a powerful statement, right? 2 allies in the Pacific and allies across the entire world. And it's kind of cut off the wording in the back, but it said, I think it's securing the land, serving the people. And that's what the purpose of a military is, right? Defend the homeland, serve the people. That's why our nation spends so much money on defense. And talking about it, I'd like to do a deep dive. Where where is our budget going? It's a picture of me and Malik. Guys, right, this isn't about me, but I'm just showing you, like, I've devoted myself towards a life of selfless service. In my heart, that's what it is, right? I can't say everyone who wears a uniform is devoted equally to a life of selfless service. There's all kinds of reasons to join a military, and not just military guys, right? That's my life journey, but first responders too, right? That word hero gets thrown around a lot specifically for military personnel, but I think teachers are heroes, who I really think are heroic, who needs more recognition. And if this is you, I hope you take some time to reflect, like, man, this guy really does feel this about me. If you're a parent and you're waking up and your purpose, right? The reason you get up is to, like, be a provider and to be a parent, to raise your child in a positive way so that they become positive, good, productive human beings, right? You're heroic in my eyes. And, we do have Mother's Day, Father's Day, that kind of stuff, but you got to recognize parents more, because that is along with teachers too, anyone dealing with children. And I just chuckle because I'm passionate about this topic of protecting children and nurturing children and developing children. And I don't want to go down too much into this rabbit hole, but you guys know what I'm talking about if you've watched previous videos. So I wanted to talk about, this is one of the best books I read, and I regret that I didn't digitize my notes, because I took very thorough notes reading this book, but I need to read it again. But you see the quote there from Stephen Covey, I believe is how you pronounce his name. The first job of a leader is to inspire trust. And I hope there's no one out there that thinks, this guy's talking about organizational. Every one of us is a leader, and I don't even have a job now, or I'm a student. I'm talking about you're the leader of yourself. You take those principles of leadership and you apply it to yourself. The planning, the vision, mapping out a roadmap to, right? You understand your 5-year vision. This is where I want to be in 5 years in terms of how you evaluate yourself as a person and then develop a roadmap. So we are all leaders, but there's a phenomenal book called Trust. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because that's the cornerstone of the community that we're a part of right now. If you're watching this video, the human values community is trust. I'm never going to ask you for your trust, because I don't believe in leaders like, hey, give me your trust. No, I'm going to every day try to do my best to earn your trust, and say I will never break your trust. But it's a phenomenal book, guys, and it's on my reading list to reread, to take notes, and to share those notes with our community.
I made my mistakes, but in all of my years of public life, I have never profited from public service. I've earned every cent. And in all of my years of public life, I have never obstructed justice. And I think, too, that I can say that in my years of public life, that I welcome this kind of examination, because people have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
Was an utterly false statement. Is that correct?
It depends upon what the meaning of the word is. Yeah.
Don't be so overly dramatic about it, Chuck. You're saying it's a falsehood, and they're giving, Sean Spicer, our press secretary, gave alternative facts to that. But the point remains.
Wait a minute. Alternative facts? Alternative facts for the 5 facts he uttered. The one thing he got right was Zeke Miller. 4 of the 5 facts he uttered were just not true. Look, alternative facts are not facts. They're falsehoods.
Yeah, I mean, these type of moments in my life stood out to me, right? I wasn't alive when Nixon was, but phenomenal up to that point where he crossed the line, an immoral line. And, I'm real cautious of the words I use and what I'm saying, but, has that line of morality shifted? Has it moved from the time of Nixon until our current time? I don't know. I mean, I have my own thoughts. I think you know where I'm getting at. That phrase, I am not a crook, that's very famous for Nixon. And up until that point, like I said, if you read about him and you kind of understand where he came from and his passion for leadership, there was a lot of positives with him, but then he kind of made some decisions that legacy was tarnished. And one guy said, what did you learn while studying law? And one guy raised his hand and said, it made me distrustful of language. And I'm saying, man, if we have a language that you can't even trust, let's invent a new language that we can trust. If you still don't know what the definition of is, we got problems. And I don't mean to get heated about this, but it blows my mind. People use language to be be distrustful and deceitful. But you know in your heart when someone's being deceitful. And, I'm focusing a lot on trust. And, this was, some of you guys may not even remember this lady. I'm not even going to say her name, but, this commentator, Chuck Todd, Chuck, I hope you're doing good, man. I haven't seen you in a long time, but he had this famous popular show called Meet the Press. And yeah, he's being so assertive with her and saying basically like, hey, whoever the spokesman is, I don't even know, like got up in front of this podium. And I guarantee if he's a spokesman for the White House, it had White House on the podium. And according to Chuck in this clip, this guy had like 5 talking points and 4 of them were flat out lies. And she said, well, those aren't lies, they're alternative facts. And it blows my mind, guys. Trust is important, and trust is a cornerstone of this community. Trust should be a cornerstone of your life. Don't cast stones. I'm not perfect too, but I'm telling you, I am very, very, very devoted to having trust and integrity, and I have been in my life as a cornerstone of my personal values. Trust is earned. I told you guys, I'm never going to ask you for your trust, but I'm always going to earn it. Do my best to earn it every single day, to never break your trust. And that's how you do it, right? People write more than words. That's another meaning of that phrase, more than words, because you judge people by their actions and what they do. And sometimes people have to make difficult decisions, right? That's the expectation too, is you maintain your integrity so that we have trust established between us. The purpose of human values, this community. I had a life-changing experience, I'll put it like that, about a year ago in September 2025. And I'm going to go more into depth with that. And right, you're going to have to come up with your own conclusions. Like, this guy talks a lot about trust, but he's sharing something deep right now. Like, I don't know, like it's pretty wild. Anything I tell you, right? That's truth according to me. That's my belief, and we're going to turn that belief into fact. We're going to confirm or deny that. Yeah, you guys know we talk a lot about leadership, talk a lot about a bit about ethics and values. When we talk about a better future, guys, I'm not talking about tomorrow, right? I'm not talking about the 5th of July 20. I'm talking about how long do you want humanity, our species, to go? I want our species to go until the sun goes supernova, right? And why do I use that phrase? Because everything in our universe has an expiration date. And our sun is going to expire billions of years down the road, right? That timeline doesn't matter to us right now. But eventually, right, all life in the universe, and all life in the universe right now exists on our shared planet. All life in the entire universe will expire at a certain point based on our current scientific understanding of the universe. And I don't think I'm wrong or inaccurate in stating that. Hey, so this is a community that I built. It was a moment of crisis, guys, and initially this community was called All People. And in my mind, I thought, we have such incredible technology where I could broadcast this, right? It's going out through the entire world. And, there's restrictions in some nations and stuff like that. But you understand my point. We're connected through the internet. Our leaders can use this technology to talk to people and to inspire people across the entire world. And I'm not sure we're using that. If you look at what this technology is primarily being used for now, again, no judgment on, I enjoy watching a lot of influencers and experiencing the joy they have in traveling and experiencing different food, experiencing the joy they're through them. But you guys know what I'm getting at. I don't think we're maximizing our current technological abilities to the full extent possible to benefit humanity. And that's the way I worded it right then. That's a real good purpose and part of what human values community stands for. This, like I said, guys, this isn't in my nature. I'm more of an introvert type of individual. So many times throughout the day and in one's lifetime, think about those key moments in your life where it came down between choosing action and inaction. And sometimes action's not always the right. You have to use your experience and your values to make the right decision that's going to benefit you on your life journey and benefit other people that you impact in your life journey. But up until that point, in terms of addressing these major global issues, I chose inaction because, to me, again, based on what I've been exposed to, it was a foregone conclusion, right? I don't want to use the word doom, but there is a phrase called doomerism that, and there's a large community, a lot of people, a lot of fellow humans around the world that they read these scientific journals. And I'm assuming, they're basing their opinions and their mental model and their thoughts about the future of our planet and humanity based on reliable scientific journals, peer-reviewed publications, and not so much on influencers and stuff. But you guys know what I'm saying, and maybe people like that. I tried never to be like that kind of guy, like, hey, Chicken Little. No, I did make a decision not to bring children into this world, and I don't want to go to a deep dive into that decision right now, but to me it came down to, right, those are the two biggest decisions I believe a person can make, right? We are responsible for those decisions. Are we making decisions and choosing actions that will result in bringing another human life, producing another human life, right? You know what I'm saying? Are you choosing to have a kid, make a kid or not? And I'm careful with what I'm saying because you guys know sometimes it's not a choice. Sometimes it's an accident or born out of irresponsibility. But to me, the key question is, if you create life, brother, sister, I hope it is a choice. It needs to be a deliberate, very deliberate choice. That's why I'm saying the two most important decisions we make. Do we create another human being to bring into our existence, and then our partner, who we choose to be a part? Very, very important decisions. Yeah, I'm talking right now, looking into your eyes. That's how I feel like right now when I'm looking into the camera lens, and I'm connecting with someone one-on-one. You right now, I want you to feel that. Man, this guy's sincere, this guy's committed, this guy's genuine. I hope we have that connection established, but it's a commitment. Research, right? Not just me back in the day, right? You go to the library and I don't know if you guys know what the Dewey Decimal System is, but it's a card catalog and you look at the subject, or sometimes it's by author too. I don't know, guys, if they had two sections by author and by subject. I don't know. But right, you pull out the thing and you flip through like planet Earth. That's what I want to study. Climate change, right? I'm talking about maximizing the technology available now. So I paid for subscriptions to ChatGPT, to Claude, to Perplexity, and those are the three that I'm using right now. Seek the ground truth, guys. I'm tired of the talking faces on both sides of the extreme. And maybe someone's right. I'm not complaining, guys. I'm telling you about pain. My experience as an officer cadet at the United States Military Academy is we had to read a book in our philosophy class, our second year there, called Just War Theory. It's pertinent to what's going on now. It's pertinent to what will happen in the future and to the global community, right? Essentially, what's the justification for committing aggression against another nation state? And guys, I'm telling you, I haven't sat down and watched the entire thing, but it was a weak delivery. I'm talking with more conviction now, with more force, because when I was able to finally sleep, I've been involved in sports most of my life. I'm very committed to physical fitness and still on very, very committed to my physical fitness journey and improving those. I've had Charlie horse. If you don't know what a Charlie horse is, I hope you've never experienced it. In general, they're painful, right? It's like a cramp. Your calf muscle cramps up. It's extremely painful. And sometimes that happens whenever you're sleeping and you're awoken in a very unpleasant manner. I've had those, guys. I've been through intense military training, kind of on the end of teetering on dehydration and focused on replenishing electrolytes and all that kind of stuff, guys. But completed that Just War Theory live stream, I was awoken in the most excruciating pain in my mind, guys. Right? Again, I've had experiences that I could compare this to. It was so far beyond any type of muscle cramp I ever experienced, to where in my mind I was envisioning my calf muscle ripping off of the bone. That's how intense this pain was. I told you guys I'm never going to embellish or exaggerate anything I'm telling you. So everything I'm saying is as accurate, as truthful as. Anyways, that's a long story to say that I took that as a sign that, James, yeah, you took a step forward and you're using your voice, but you will use a voice of conviction going forward. No more a timid voice from you. So foundation milestone. These are what the milestones that we've reached since January. Yeah, it's a show and commitment. Go on our YouTube page, or we can bring it up real quick. But these are the videos I produced, and a lot of these were recorded during that spiritual crisis that I had, and then I just kind of edited it, and then just making some shorts. Yeah, this John Nash one, I hope you guys go watch this one. It's one of the ones I'm more proud about. Right, we all have that. We're self-interested. Like, if we have to choose between our own life and other people, not many people are going to choose, I'm going to sacrifice my life. So maybe in certain situations for certain people in your life, but in general, for a stranger. But we're self-interested creatures. This video, I talk about John Nash in that movie, A Beautiful Mind, how he says, yeah, that's fine to be self-interested, but actually, if you are self-interested, every individual who belongs part of a group will benefit greater if they put the benefit of the group above their own in certain times. You guys understand what I'm saying? We are at a critical point in the history of our species. And right, I'm not going to go into a historical lesson. Like, what are those moments? The invention of the printing press, invention of the internet, those kind of milestones. But we are at perhaps the most critical point in our species, the story of our species and our planet. Yeah, you guys see, these are the types of things that really bother me. Climate change, people talking about like India may sustain, not just India, but I know India's Mumbai specifically as a mega city could sustain like a wet bulb event that'd be so catastrophic that millions of people could be killed across the world. But specifically, India has that conditions of heat mixed with humidity that become lethal to humans without the aid of air conditioning, right? These are the issues. And if you're here right now, I think you're concerned about these types of issues and the scale of these types of issues. And that's what I'm going to devote 40 days of my life to doing. Yeah, we're all part of the global community. We have to start thinking like that, guys. And I understand, right? You know, if you're a first responder, you know, it's tribalism. We focus on what we can do at the most immediate level, but we have to broaden out to start thinking about our planet. And a lot of people and organizations that already have, guys, right? This isn't the first person. I know I'm not the first person to kind of feel this way for my own sanity. I wanted to kind of share, this is what I'm talking about. I need to post these on the website. These are the living documents for this Global Solutions 40-day mission is what I'm calling it. We're going to go through them real quick, and I have them already opened on the tab. The overall concept, I was watching kind of footage, very encouraging. I love seeing people united and enjoying themselves and passionate about something for football or soccer. Billions of people right now are united, paying attention to the World Cup. Let's try to unite more people to some of these global issues. What we all want to happen is, if there's someone else that's doing this out there, let me know. I know like there's kind of people that have done, I don't know about like a focused effort like this, but holistically what I want is to come out of this 40-day mission with a very optimistic view of like, hey, we can join efforts, we can combine efforts, we can address these issues that are potentially catastrophic for our species and our planet. I want to be hopeful coming out of this 40 days that we can get it done. And I'm sure you do too, because I don't think the opposite is going to be very helpful. And we're going to follow the evidence wherever it takes us. You know, there's things that are in our control and things that are not in our control. But what we can control is how we're addressing these issues and what we're doing about it. Don't live in fear. Let's do the best that we can, do more than words, and duty, honor, humanity.